Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the MSR Workshop. I'm your host Adam Unsel, and today I am bringing you a cycling video. I'm going to be talking about my Scott Spark 760 that I have customized, kind of be going through what are the changes I've made to it and why I just really like this bike. And some of the pan shots that I've done, you'll notice that it looks a lot different than what you see online from the standard stock 2016 Scott Sparks, and that's because I've changed actually a lot on it. There is not much original to this bike other than the frame. I've pretty much changed everything. Was it cheaper to do it that way? Absolutely not. It was more expensive. But I was able to get a good deal on the bike originally and actually sell a lot of the parts that came off of it and really kind of make this bike mine and I think take it to the next level. Starting off on the front of the bike, some of the more obvious things that have been changed. Boy, where to begin? Let's talk about, first off, the fork. The fork, I went with a RockShox Pike. This is 140 millimeters of travel. Originally, it was a RockShox TK30 Silver, which came with 120 millimeters of travel. This is a huge upgrade. Love the way it feels. It's so much more compliant on the rocks, and it just feels great. And I went with the boost spacing on this, which makes it possible to run a really giant tire like this. This is the Maxxis Recon in a 27.5 by 2.8. So these are considered a plus size tire. And the thing with the plus size tires is depending on the rim width that you're mounting it to, just kind of determines how much it will fit inside your fork and your rear triangle. I was worried it would not fit in the rear, but with the bike, it actually fits great on these rims. Now, if you had a really wide rim, it's going to make these tires balloon out a lot wider, and it probably will not fit. But it was able to fit on this, and this gives it a great ride, lots of grip. I had originally minions on here, and I found that the knobs were just so big that the bike was going a lot slower, and I wanted something a little bit faster, a little bit lower profile knobs, but still give me that real confidence for when I'm cornering. So moving around here to the brakes, I have upgraded to kind of a two-piece rotor system. And these are Allero, and they are 180 millimeter front and rear rotors. Originally, I believe it was a 180 up front and a 160 on the rear. Don't quote me on that, but I did have to buy a spacer so I could run 180s front and back. If I do end up using this for any kind of downhill stuff, I may even switch to a little bit larger, but right now that seems to be working really good. So moving up top, one of the first things I do with most of my bikes is get on eBay and order some Chinese carbon bars. Now, I know what some of you are saying, I wouldn't trust them, but I found some brands out there that are quite good. I've used some quite a bit, and I've had a few bars that, just for curiosity, I've cut in half and looked at the wall thickness and the evenness of the manufacturing, and I haven't really found any ones with problems. These aren't crazy shapes, so I wouldn't have concerns about deformities or carbon being, say, thicker or thinner in certain spots. So definitely lightened up the bike here. And then I got a T3 stem, and I believe this is a 90 millimeter stem. As far as the grips, I went with Sram foam grips. Adds a little bit more cushioning for your hands and rough roads. And then aluminum end caps with a expandable bolt in here, which makes these pretty nice. Brake levers are original from the bike. These are Shimano hydraulic levers. I don't know what model they are, but they are working good for me right now. I have no problems with brake fade or any problems like that. Moving back to the fork really quick, if any of you are familiar with the RockShox Pike, You have a 3-position damper. So you've got a full open, one with a little bit more, and then you have a climb, which is completely locked out. You do have high and low speed compression, as well as a rebound on the bottom like most Shox. So now let's get into the actual components of the bicycle and where you really even start to see changes more. So with the drivetrain, originally it came with a 3-speed up front and I believe an 8-speed on the rear. It was nothing special. I will throw up the specs of the original bike in the description below. But we went ahead and took everything and we changed it all over to a SRAM system. We have gone with the Sram Gx. We did a 1x12. Now with the SRAM 1x12 on the rear wheel, we did not use a special SRAM hub. Actually, we used a SunRace cassette that it made it possible so you can run a 12-speed rear cassette without needing a special hub. And SRAM has since come without it in their, I can't remember, I mean, it's an NX group set. So you don't have to replace it with a special hub. Now it is an 1150 tooth cassette, but if you use the SRAM special hub, you can go to an 1050. But I don't know why I would need that, and I wouldn't need to rebuild a hub. And the other thing is I could not change the spacing on the rear of the rear triangle to run SRAM specific hub. So the rear derailleur, we with the Sram Eagle Gx crank, Sram Eagle Gx as well. It is a GXP bottom bracket. Very, very easy to do. It just threads in. I wish everybody had a threaded bottom bracket because it would make it so much easier. The chain, we added a little bling and we went with the XX1 chain for the gold chain because I like the look of that. Moving up to the rear suspension, this is original to the bike. I just changed out the decals to black. Originally they were this neon yellow color. And we have a full carbon saddle. This is an EC90 carbon saddle with a little bit of padding, but it really does lighten up the whole thing. And then dropping down here, we have a P&W dropper post with internal routing, which it did not come with. So moving on down here, we had to make our own little hole, which we did right here, and we just put a little grommet in, which works great. Ran it underneath, and then it was contained on the cable routing system underneath the bike. So everything kind of stayed nice and neat and tidy. The pedals, we used SMS pedals that I got off eBay as well. They're aluminum, really nice. They do have replaceable cleats on them. So when you wear those out, you can get replacements for them, and they're nice free spinning. Up here, you probably can't tell, but this rear jockey wheel and the one up here are replaced, and I got ones with bearings. The Sram Gx does not come with bearings. They just come with a sleeved style bushing that runs on, a little bit of grease in there. These are actual bearings, and so they run a little bit nicer, stay a little bit cleaner. They don't sound crunchy when you run through some sand. Last but not least, let's talk about the actual rims themselves. They are both carbon rims. I got them off eBay too. They are Chinese carbon rims. Front and rear are slightly different. The reason I did that, because the front is a through axle, the back is a quick release, and I was not able to change the rear to a through axle just because 2016 they didn't have through axles on this particular bike. So the front wheel has bladed straight pull spokes. I specifically wanted straight pull instead of J-bend spokes. Makes it easier to service. Most shops are going to have J-bend spokes on them versus a straight pull, which makes it a little bit difficult to service. And then the rear is the same way, except the rear is a quick release. They are both flat-bladed spokes, both J-bend spokes. They came unbranded, but I went ahead and put my own decals on them just to kind of make them look nice. I know I may get crap for the decals that I put on them, but I think they look nice. And overall, it brought the whole bike weight about 6 or 7 pounds down. So right around 24 pounds total for the build. As far as future upgrades, I don't know if I can change the middle shock or not to make it better. It seems to be working fine for me for everything that I do. And I may change out the hydraulic brakes sometime for a larger piston caliper brake. Well guys, that's been it for the Scott Spark 760. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions about it, if I forgot to mention something, be sure and leave it in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks again.